Okay, so so we have this welcome screen of Ambari. Here we need to set up the things. Okay, so this is very simple UI. I mean, it does not have much to tell. So currently it says there is no cluster. There are remote cluster that you can register. Okay, then views we will understand later on what are views URL, then users and groups. Basically you can so when you talk about the users, right? So currently so let's say I do login with root user, right? There could be huge list of users that you can get. So if you really want to check how many users are currently on our system, so just go in this file and try to see. These are all each of these are users. Okay, normal user or system user or apart from this, basically I mean, so you can say these are all local Linux users. I mean, currently we are able to see them in etc pass this particular file, right? But in actual case you may not have all the users created directly on your Linux machine. There would be a kind of Active Directory or Open LDAP environment might be there. Okay, and from that you need to sync the users to this. Okay, so if you go to users currently, so let me first set it up and then we will come up and let's click we will click on users and groups. Basically you may not get any you may not see anyone here because of now there has no users registered with Ambari. But let's say if you want to allow this Ambari, so this Ambari access also can be given to some normal users who are not the admin, because this is mostly related to admin. So most of the admin guys or senior admin or admin, they must have all the administrative privileges on Hadoop using this Ambari, right? For some developers also, you may need to provide them access of viewing some views or some kind of read-only metadata information or read-only things on. So to get the users in Ambari to be registered, you may need to sync the users from Active Directory or Open LDAP. Hello, am I audible? Yeah. Am I audible now? Am I audible now? Yeah, okay, thanks. Yeah, so actually, my connection has gone for a few seconds. So what we are discussing is that basically this user and group management, it is a very important part. Though it can be done very easily, I mean not. So mostly, you may need to work with this kind of GUI. So let's launch, and what we will do is basically today we will install Hadoop, okay, with very one basic component called HDP, because we are not going to install all the components, but we will try to understand what those components are out of Hadoop. So once you come up to this screen, go and launch install wizard. So you need to provide the name to this cluster. So I will say new cluster. Okay, this name could be again depending on the client you are creating this cluster with. So they may suggest some name for this particular cluster. Okay. Because this name might be used for certain HDFS communication or web HDFS communication, or node or cluster to cluster. Okay. So this name is important in terms of so this would be like no many let's say this particular cluster is now will have 100 nodes or 200 nodes or 500 nodes. Okay, all they will come under the umbrella of this particular name called new cluster. Okay, do next. So here it gives us the stack. So basically the version of Ambari that we are using, it can handle these many versions of Hadoop Hortonworks HDP versions basically. So currently the Ambari version that we are using is around 2.4, and that can handle HDP 2.5, 2.3, 2.4 and 2.5. Okay. The current Ambari version cannot handle HDP 2.6. For that we need to upgrade the Ambari, and then so that would be our exercise in order to update or upgrade this HDP 2.5 to the new stack called HDP 2.6. Okay. So suppose if you, let's say 3 years before you were using HDP 2.2, right? And since then you keep upgraded the system as and when required, or as and when the new version of HDP coming up. So mostly every 6 months you will get a new HDP version. Okay, 6 to 8 months. Okay, so last 3 years basically these many versions have come up. HDP 2.5, sorry 2.2, then 2.3, 2.4, 2.5. And now suppose if your client asks, okay, we are now requiring HDP 2.6. So on all 100 nodes, suppose if you are managing 100 nodes cluster, you need to upgrade the version of HDP 2.5 to HDP 2.6. Okay, now HDP 2.6 requires Java 1.8. Okay, so then you need to upgrade some basic, so that is very big activity, very dangerous activity, as well as very, you can say critical activity. So how it can be done, how it is possible, what are all the different things you need to keep in mind, what are all the different preparation you need to do. Okay, that most important is like, suppose, because the thing is there is no recovery plan once you start upgrading HDP 2.5 to HDP 2.6. After one point there is no chance to roll it back. Okay, so you need to be very sure that whatever you do, it should go straightforward, perfect. Okay, so you need to like make things so so basically and that activity involves like lot of maybe OS upgrade, not OS exactly OS upgrade, but there are a lot of other utilities that you may need to install on OS to support that HTTP 2.6. So there is proper documentation on Hortonworks website, and for everything that you do, okay, you need to first refer their official documentation and just go through it, try to create a POC around it, try to create a 3-node cluster on your virtual machine like that, and try to implement the things and get the clear understanding of it, and then start and then come up with the plan that you want to do on your 100 nodes cluster. Okay, so you should not directly assume or presume the things and start working on that. No, you need to first go and read the official documentation, because they will provide you some pain points or what could be done, what is not possible, what is possible, what are all the extra measures that you need to take. Okay, because they give the documentation for reference in order to let you know that what could be the possible problems that you may face and how to resolve those basically. So you will get the idea, enough idea about after reading that thing, you can get enough idea about like how you should proceed. And also you need to first do it on like some local things, so that you will be confident, okay, these are all the things that will come up, right? So I will select the default over here, HTTP default version that is currently available. So with that HTTP 2.5, whatever we are selecting, these are all the components and their corresponding versions listed over here. Okay, Akimilo, Ambari Infra, Ambari Matrix, Atlas, Falcon, Flume, HBs. So these are some core components of Hadoop: Flume, HBs, HDFS, Hive, Kafka, okay, Nox, then Mahotu, Zpig, Ranger, KMS, Slider. These are like some authorization tool. So these all, so this is a complete stack. Okay, so this is the list that is provided over here. All the installables basically under Hadoop will actually create the complete production environment for you. So I selected that now, and we are going to use local repository. Okay, and since we are using CentOS 7, that is the Red Hat 6 operating system, I'm just removing the other options from here. So just let only the Red Hat 6, and since we are using local repository, we need to provide the, so if you say use public repository, so you will see that it is actually pointing to the Hortonworks website, not our local repository, that is admin.cluster.com, right? So it is actually pointing to Hortonworks, and if you see that it is pointing to this, you can just copy it and try to hit on using web browser. So basically you will see, although it is not exactly coming up with some problem with XML, but here actually it is pointing, and it is actually taking you to the actual repository where the similar repository like we have seen here, right? Slash repo. Oh, sorry, not 8080. Okay, so this repository will look like over here. Okay, so when you use public repository, so it is having already the mention of Hortonworks website address, but we don't want to use it because we don't want to rely on the remote Hortonworks repository, because their HTTP server may down anytime, and the overall around 4 GB of data needs to be download it first, and then it will be installed. Okay, that is already available over here in our website. Okay, so this if you see, it is almost 4.5 GB of total RPMs size available in our local HTTP repository. So if you point to the public repository, remote public repository, basically you will need to install, you need to first download it. So suppose if your network speed or internet speed is not good, you will end up spending around 4 to 5 hours doing this. So that's why we have built up our own local repository. First we offline downloaded everything, we made it on our own available on our local repository, HTTP repository, and now we need to give the address of it. From where to pick? Go to cd etc yum.repos.d and HTTP repo, and copy this URL and put it the HDP 2.5, and over on the util side, this is the util one. Okay, so now we are actually pointing to our local HTTP repository. Do next. Now here we need to provide the host name that we need to register. So master2.cluster.com. Now basically here there could be the list of you can also use pattern. You can use pattern expression to specify the number of target host. For example, to specify host 01 through host, then in the target host because let's say suppose if you are entering 1000 hosts over here, so you are not going to maintain, or you're not going to enter 1000 entries, right, one by one. So let's say the first machine is this, and my last machine would be, so you can just follow this pattern through. Okay, so you just need to do master2.cluster.cluster.com and thru through master, I will say 1000.cluster.com, right? So it will occupy all the range between this. So it will actually, it will within single line it can aid around 999 or almost 1001 hosts in your machines in your cluster basically. So currently we do have only one, so we are just providing its name, not master2. It's like admin.cluster.com. Let me just check the host name. Yes, admin.cluster.com. And then we need to provide the the private key of root user to this ambari console. So for that you just need to come here, cd.ssh and cat on idrsa, copy this. So this is a public key, this is a private key of root user and copy over here. So either you can save this in a SSH private key file, and then you can give the path to that file. You can just copy like this. In I think production, you need to have a file that you need to choose over here. So how it can be done? So you can just say create, or you can just copy this file. Ultimately, you need to just save it, just like kind of an IDRS somewhere. Okay, save it and then give that path as a file on this option. When you say choose file, basically you can just save is like IDRS. Don't put any extension in front of it, and you can choose it like that. So I just copied the whole in the free text form of that private key. The username would be root, the SSH port number 22. Now this here we are using root by default, but let's say if you, in production, if you do not use root, basically you can use any normal user. But for this normal user, the passwordless SSH should be created to all the machine from the ambari server machine, right? So let it be default root one, and do register and confirm. So now in this one, what it will do is basically it is actually installing ambari agent. So ambari server will be installed. Ambari agent, ambari server is already running. Ambari agent will be installed on this machine, and once the ambari agent gets installed, it will start sending some signals to ambari master, and once the communication is done, basically it will mark it as a success. So to install that ambari agent, basically it requires a passwordless SSH for root user. So it is now using it, it is installing it. So when it says install, you can just go and try to see it's all the logs at runtime. So currently it is installed, it is registering. So it registering means ambari server should know that okay, one ambari agent is running in admin.cluster.com. So it is having some ID of ambari agent that is being registered in the metadata of ambari server. So ambari server maintains its metadata in PostgreSQL. Okay, so that is the default SQL comes. You can also migrate this to MySQL, or you can use MySQL also if you want to keep the metadata information of ambari server over there. What does it keep? We will see that later. So there are some warnings. You can just open on it and basically say transparent huge pages and rest everything is okay. Actually we have set it up, but still it is giving error, but no issues. I mean, we are okay with it. It's just a warning. It is not something that will critically stop us to move ahead. So I will say close and do next. And now these are the services that it is asking us to choose from. Okay, if you see this log search and Spark 2, they are not selected because they are all from technical preview. So actually when they are releasing something new, or when Apache releasing something new, like say after Spark, Spark 2 has come, right? Or so if you see Spark, it is having Spark 1.6 version. Here Spark 2, it is saying Spark 2.0. Okay, so it is a very long jump directly from 1.6 to 2.0. So it was not fully released till the time that HDP 2.5 was released, and that's why they have just given it. So you cannot use it any technical preview on the production. Okay, you can use it for POC. You can still make it up and running and install on production, but no real-time use case should rely on this Spark 2. Okay, because there is no guarantee whether it will work properly or not. Rest everything, HDP will take care, and they will support you if you face any issue. All this service requires around 10 GB for you to available. Okay, but we do not have that much, so I am just deselecting all of those. And we are going to install HDFS, that we know, Hadoop Distributed File System, and its dependency called Zookeeper. Okay, so Zookeeper is the first thing that will be installed on the Hadoop cluster, because Zookeeper is a service that will provide you the coordination among master and slaves. Okay, so Zookeeper is a highly available coordination service provider. Okay, we will. So these are some definition only. I mean that you can just get from here for each of these components. So when you say HDFS, Apache Hadoop Distributed File System, Yarn plus MapReduce, Apache Hadoop next generation MapReduce. So basically it is a resource manager that will provide the resources when you start running some jobs, analytical jobs on your Hadoop. Tej is work engine basically, or you can say execution engine on which your Hive SQL will run. Okay, now Hive is like kind of a data warehouse system for ad hoc queries and analysis. So this is like provide, so most of the things like 80% of the Hadoop things or 90% of Hadoop things are done in Hive only if it is Hadoop stack. But suppose if Spark has also come, then again Spark SQL is most of the things will be done on Spark SQL that internally has the connection with Hive. So Hive is just like str SQL in AS400. Okay, so you can run all the analytics using SQL queries. No need to write any programming languages, nothing else, right? HBase is a database, just like the DB2 for AS400, it is HBase for Hadoop, though it is a NoSQL database, and it requires some extra effort to make it properly, work. HBase, if your cluster is having HBase, there are some different use cases. Pig is a kind of data flow language. Again, it will help you to provide analytics. So this both Pig and Hive, they are heavily rely or completely rely on the data that is stored in HDFS. Okay, then you come up with a scoop. Okay, so let me stop the recording. Give me 2 minutes. I'm coming.